we've seen a huge influx of event planners and B2B companies who initially actually canceled their events or postponed them in April. So initially in April, I think we were getting this constant thing that we are putting it back to September and pushing it to December. Some events were canceled. And I think it's in May, there is a distinct change where event planners or marketers are saying that, we don't know, I think most guesses around the COVID scenario is a person, it's a fantasy in a way. Different people have different thoughts. There is, of course, nobody knows. So I think with the event industry, when they don't have the events, they're realizing how important they are. I think the absence is really showing the importance of the events. And that's making everyone go virtual. A lot of the traditional event planners said you cannot do it virtually. You don't get that engagement virtually. And we're doing an virtual event almost every day now. So we know that it's different. It's like the difference between going out to eat in a restaurant and ordering from ordering online on your app. But I think both things get the job done. At the end, if you want to eat or feed yourself, both ways get the job done. It's different though. The size of event. Webinars usually cap out at the default packages cap out at 100. You don't see a lot of webinars going beyond 500. Video meetings are usually even smaller. You're looking at 70 to 80 attendees at the most, usually about 20 attendees, because more than that in a video meeting, there's noise. There's hardly any value there. Virtual events, on the other hand, you're typically looking at thousands of attendees, either over an evening session or over 3 days, depending on the format of the event. So you're typically looking at that. So that's one big difference. One of the core differences is that the event is a lead gen mechanism. At the same time, you discover new people. If you were discovering new people in a video meeting, you would be surprised, and you would probably raise that as a security hazard, right? That's not a good thing to have strangers on your video call. You also want it to be 24/7. That's really important to have these certain sessions. You don't have webinars or video calls that go 24/7. So virtual events give you that ability to create a long-lasting effect, just the way you were doing events before. So this is an actual live example that we did, and we call it 2.5D. The reason is it's not 3D, but it's not 2D. And it gives you the sense of discovery. So while it looks 3D, it gives you the sense of discovery and makes you go and discover the right booth. If the event is if it's your private event where it's a large company which is hosting its own event, then of course your different booths could be your different service offerings. For example, if you might have something on product A and then something else might be on product B. So that's how you could have a pavilion. When attendees go to like a small to medium-sized booth, they're generally not left alone. They approach a booth and they suddenly have people, coming up to them and asking them if they can help in all good spirit, but it's sort of intimidating for the customer. The other side of the experience is when they go to a large exhibitor, people who spend upwards of $1 million on one trade show, they actually struggle to find someone to have a good conversation with. They usually have these champagne bars, which are, like private and sometimes it's intimidating for a lot of these customers to visit. So what I'm trying to get is that the access to information, because as an attendee, some go for the swag, but most, I believe, are going to find new contacts, business contacts, the access to information is not very easy. So for them to go around and go to hundreds and thousands of booths, it takes time. Sometimes they fill it. So now with this, at one click, not only can they read, for example, from here or watch videos or, and send it to their email, but they can do it across the board. So it sort of democratizes the fact that what does a company do? They get it right away. But But taking that one step forward is where they can actually get into a video call right away with the exhibit booth staff. And this is where we see our customers who, very few of them actually can have, 24/7 in terms of manning it with the physical video call, but usually they would advertise as, okay, we're available from say 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and visitors during that hour can actually enter into a video call with, one of the exhibit staff. Let's say even if you have 5, 6, 7, 10 people manning your virtual booth, what you typically land up is that, like for now, you might have more than 100 visitors at one point, which is very common if your president or the CEO of your company is, for example, keynoting, or he's doing a panel session, then you would suddenly notice that you have hundreds of people, and all of them, if they are requesting for a video call, you just don't have the staff to do it. So what you want is not just exchange a business card, but what you want to do is actually set up a time in the near future, where you can get on a meeting, but at the same time it should link to your calendar. So it should link to the calendar of the exhibitor, the sales guy, and also it should link to your own calendar. So this is an example which pops up on the exhibitor. So if you're not getting a video slot and they're all busy, then you can actually select the time that they're free in the near future or even later in the day, and they would call you back. So I think the big difference is that as an exhibitor, instead of saying that I got so many leads, now you're saying that I got so many meetings, which is a big step up in terms of validating ROI. So one, of course, you have your captive audience, right? So you have your existing customers, prospects, etc. You do that. We do have an optional plugin, which is an AI-based system called Zoe. And this was actually being used extensively. And what this does is that it actually adopts a cadence marketing platform to drive in new leads. So now what happens, very typical that, especially in the B2B place, that you never really you don't call or email and instantly you get a response that, hey, I want to place an order, I want to meet, no matter who you are. It takes a process of cultivating the lead process, because many times the leads are genuinely busy or genuinely unavailable for a whole host of reasons, not because they're not interested in your product, but just because what they do is keeping them busy. So what we've done is that we actually federate databases, relevant permission-oriented databases. Of course, this is not the only way you would drive traffic. At the moment, since everybody's at home, globally everybody's at home, their digital usage has spiked from an average of 4 hours a day to 7 to 8 hours a day. Advertising on platforms like Google and Facebook are very effective, or LinkedIn, based on who you're trying to target. So I think a combination of direct marketing and advertising is gets, and we are getting it. We benefit. We've seen our clients getting it, even if you're a B2B. So this would be a good option to choose. Yeah. When the exhibitor signs in, they each rep from the exhibitor signs in individually, right? So most often it's a round robin system. So if you're trying to speak to somebody, it will go from one person to another who are logged in. Now, if nobody is available or they do not respond back, which is very common, as I said, we have some exhibitors who get hundreds of requests sometimes at the same moment. So this is where you would use this scheduling capability to make sure that you put you ask them to call you back, which is on their calendar. Your staff actually has the app where it notifies you that, request to talk. You have the option of seeing the profile of the attendee. So the fact is that if you're getting hundreds of requests on a specific hour, you may want to prioritize whom you want to speak to. So because everyone is registered, as an exhibitor, you can actually see who's trying to speak to you. And then you could decide to either reschedule or cancel that request. If it's your private event, right? If if you are the only, if you own the entire event. So you own the booth, you are doing the sessions, you are the owner of the virtual event asset, then yes, you will get that stat. However, if you are part of a event, like if somebody's hosted the event and you've just paid to be there, then you don't get that data, because if an attendee does not want to talk to you, he just wants to see, you will get the data that somebody saw. And this is the demographic. It's like the equivalent of, it's the equivalent of if you know who all checked your Facebook profile, you know, it would be very spooky, because if you knew who is checking your Facebook profile or Instagram profile, you know, it would really upset the whole social
Absolutely.
connection. Unlimited. I mean, the best part is that this is entirely on the cloud and made what we call in the way it's planet scale. So you can, like, I mean, this is literally unlimited.
Right.
I mean, practically unlimited, but yeah, it auto scales. It's just that we get a bigger bill. If we get 1 million visitors, then we're going to get a bigger bill, but the server won't crash for sure. So we are very popular. We are known for making, planet scale software. They don't go down, they don't crash, and it's structured that way. But what we recommend is you have up to 4 weeks lead time, because your event can be ready. But what you need is definitely you need content, because if you have an event booth, you need to be prepared to have content, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need time to prepare content. At the same time, your management may not be used to a scenario where many of them actually not used to speaking at all. They are not used to going and keynoting or speaking in a panel. So by asking your leaders, your management leaders to come in and speak, you need to prep them. They need to get their act together, all of those things. So we find that for 3 to 4 weeks, I would personally recommend 4 weeks as a minimum to get everything, and then marketing. But one very interesting, thing on our product roadmap, which we're actually launching later in May and early June, is almost like the equivalent of like a speed dating kind of a situation, right? Where what we call hosted buyer meet. So what you do is that the beauty of that is that you, as a vendor, you buy into, say, 10 meetings, and those meetings will be clocked at, say, 3 minutes each. But then those videos come automatically, right? So you don't know who's coming in. You're mapped based on your target focus. So you could say that, hey, I want to speak to companies who are in this sector and with so and so kind of revenues and so many employees, and the system would automatically match you. One of the biggest things that event does is that creates some focus in the company, drives the energy in a focused manner. So I think my only advice would be that if you are still looking for events to open up before you start doing your events again, and they could be employee events, they could be, for example, for a large telco in UK, it was a 3,000 employee, sales enablement event. So no matter what kind of event or training you're doing, I think postponing is probably not the best strategy, because there's a lot of uncertainty what will happen, say, post September, October.
Mm-hmm.
And like how webinars have really mushroomed, like how video calling, you never even went to the other room to speak to your family folks, and now you're video calling like there's no tomorrow. So if you get on the wagon quicker, I think there's a chance you'll get the attention of your customers faster.